Hello and welcome, as it is Crypto Day, the 10th day of April 2018. My name is Derek. Like always, everything within your own risk, own reward. And I'm going to show a whole bunch of batch of different cryptocurrencies. It will start off with Verge, move into Extra Bytes, and then I don't know what other ones from there, but a bunch of them. All right, yesterday on the 4-minute morning, I was stating that price action, which then was probably around 1100 or a bit below, that the price action was going to come up to the 1290 handle, and sure enough, it did. Didn't take that long to do such, as it would have been about 9 a.m. yesterday, I think, so price action would have been around 1030. When I was talking about it going to that level, and it did, resisting to that point back down to the 18 average, at least within the 60-minute time frame, now back up to the 18. I have no idea at this stage if it's going to have a decent move up or if it's going to have a decent move down. I think I said up and down. Either way, of course, that's the way it normally should be, but that's because you get to this point. I call it now what? Question mark. Or I used to call it different things like D-Day. I know that's not probably the best words to use. And I use it for decision day. What are we going to use from here? Which is why I use that term, because that's how I first brought it up when I was learning trading back a decade ago. And I realized at key points like this where you usually find resistance, one, if you don't, fast moves higher. And of course it has found it. But the more often you come and test a major level, it's still going to be relatively difficult for it to break through. But if it does, then that's tremendously decent size gains. The last major Fibonacci level was at around 1,000. Now, the trading that I've been mainly doing is very, very, very short-term moves. I like to go in and, well, different situations like, buying at say I bought down in here at like say 780 price action. I'm going to be selling up in here, buying back in here, selling some up here, probably buying back down at this bottom at about 900. And then when all of this has been happening, I've been getting sell order city over and over and over. In fact, I can show you my last 10 trades, and I'll do that. I'll bring that up right now. And going back to April the 5th, I would have bought at 751. And then I sold on April the 5th. This was interesting. This was awesome how this happened. Because this is 3:13 in the morning. This is 4:08 in the morning. And I woke up and I'm thinking, something doesn't seem right with my Verge. And that's because I had my buy order hit. I had a price action would have been somewhere around 800 and something when I went to bed. So it would have went down to 751 first. Then it went up to 899. So there it is at 746 in the morning. And I'm just selling that little bit of extra profit from the buying and selling at the same time with the price going lower. Then, so that was at 7:46 a.m. 1:55 p.m. on that same day, I bought some again at 8:02. And then the next day, a little over 24 hours later, I sold some at 8:78. And then the sell orders come in over and over and over again. April the 7th, sell at 9:34. 2 days later, which is yesterday, sell at 10:14, 10:88, 11:54. And then the last sale is in at 12.89. And I haven't changed my orders since I last went to bed last night, where I put a buy order in at 1,055. My next sell order is in at 14.48 and another one at 24.88 if something just massive happens. See, that's what I like to do. So in a spot before on the original outset, both of these style orders would have been taken through. And that's pretty cool when it happens. Now the 1,050 level, and when I see markets making big gains, this would match this previous level of resistance. I kind of, when you have big moves up, you're gonna have big moves down. That's basically where I'm going on, not this But I don't like buying above the 18 average of highs. But in situations where if I can sell at 1290 well above it, I don't mind buying at 1,000 still above it as well. But I want to make sure when markets have these big gains that you make sure that you get some decent profit on it. So 1,400 and change would bring the price action up to about here, which would just be a small move. I would sell again after that. Let me just go back to that sheet again. Even though it says 2488, if the 14,848 gets executed, I'd be looking to sell at about 1,700 and something, 1,800, which would be up to about here, probably about 1,680, 17, wherever, somewhere around there. Just little bits of a decent leg higher each time. So that's Verge, and also the way I've been trading it. Just trying to get as many short-term plays as possible. XBY, which is not available on Bittrex. And because of such, I'll show the coin market cap chart. It took me a while to find this part here, which is the linear scale and log scale, which used to be on the lower end, below the dates. It took about literally 15-20 seconds. I didn't panic. I mean, it was just a button, but I found it. Okay. So within the price action, we're looking at this via Bitcoin price. This was over 80 cents against the US dollar back at its all-time high. And it's currently about 6 cents against the US dollar today. So price action has fell just a modest over 90%. Okay. Of course, I remember when this thing was 2 cents, do I load the boat on it? So just think of it from multiple perspectives. The first 4 places in which I bought and sold extra bytes, I am not trading on anymore. C/CEX. I got too annoyed with how often they would just shut their site would just go down multiple times per day, and for decent amount of time intervals per time. And of course, the market or the size of the book really small. Then there was Yobit, and I do regret to a degree not staying with them, because as much as I've been very frustrated and just kind of cautiously scared to trade with them, and they've been very profitable, and staying with them would have stayed such on so many levels, and Litecoin Cash being one of the big ones, as if I was trading with them, I would have had an okay amount of Litecoin on before the fork, and I would have obviously sold at tremendously high prices. And there's so many other reasons where I say to myself, man, I wish I would have stayed with Yobit, but you know what, though, so be it. And then there was Cryptopia. And I don't like Cryptopia too much right now. They stated a few weeks ago that they wanted to bring the Litecoin exchange back, and they did. And everything for that, okay, so be it, great. Although I do not agree with them having every single code on the Litecoin market. I think it should be limited to the big ones and those on too high of demand. However, when I deposited funds to play the Litecoin exchange, I probably deposited close to 3 dozen, maybe a little more, 40 even. But one of them never came through, which was XEM, New Economy Movement. And it seems as if it's on their end still to pay it to me. They haven't done so yet. And I sent it a support ticket at the next day, but they stated 28 days. I was going to say 24 hours. No, 28-day wait on support tickets. And that to me is just not cool. As the 2 or 3 times I needed to use support before, they were great. In this case, not so much. I used to trade on Nova Exchange as well. They were always small. They have extra bytes barely. So now the only place I'm trading this is on Coin Falcon. It's a smaller site. Cryptopia has the biggest volume by far. Okay. So for me, I got out of most of my XBY during this up move because the price was high. I bought and sold back along the way. I would have bought here, I would have sold a bit here, all that type of stuff. But I have been getting out of a lot of it up to about in here. As I do think that this thing is going to come down to about 500 to 600 Satoshi. As of last check, a week or so back, the buy orders at around 500 are still remaining active. And this was all based on mathematical Fibonacci calculations, and I see it even more so now as the last high in the market. It's that classic, you can call it an inverted cup and handle, but after a smooth decline, the market has its first decent rally attempt, and now it's back to where it came from in that sense. It is a bearish picture. Now, I still have an okay decent amount. However, I have about well less than what I had back at this high. Much lower. Probably about 75% less tokens or coins. And I've had a lot of good trades along the downtrend. I've made a lot just via arbitrage and just the buy low, sell high playing. So therefore, I'm trading it both against Bitcoin and Ethereum right now on the CoinFalcon exchange. Again, not too many people. If you get to understand the smaller exchanges, they can be very profitable, but if you're ever in a situation, if you need to sell or buy big, Cryptopia probably is the way to go. And because of such, if price action does come down to this 500 level, 5 to 600, there's a good chance I'll probably deposit some Bitcoin in on the site and then buy it and then move it over to CoinFalcon. Let's move on now back to the Bittrex codes and using TradingView for the charts. Next code, Salus. I gotta say it en français or in a French accent, I think. Because if you look at the picture, and I can't show it to you on here, I could, but I'm not going to, of their logo, it is le Quebecois? Quebecois? Anyway, it's the Quebec. It looks French, and it looks like it's French as in Canadian French. Although I think I'll show the logo. And it's totally not the one that I'm thinking of. But there is one that I think that's got a French logo, which is this little thingy in here. I think I've seen that on one of them. I can't remember which one. But it's not. This is nothing about logos or geography. This is about chart reading and trading the market. This is just a lovely chart when you look at these moves. When the markets have all of these lines going up and down within such, that means there's a lot of amazing opportunities to get in and out of the market, which is what I've been doing glorious, amazing, trying to find the right adjective to use. But when you have situations when the markets can go up to like 600, up to like 780, then retrace back down to 60, well, we'll just use the easy number, the 63 handle, up to 72, back down to 63, up to 67, down to 62, 72, back down to 65. This was the best, up to 80, or not the best, but up to 83, back down to 70, up to 80 or 78. It's just wild moves, and you can only get these if you're paying attention and you're fast, or you got your sell orders in. And it's been very common for me to get good, amazing, or very poor, or miss out on these orders, where I can look and see something like this happens, and I see it goes all the way up to 85,000, yet my sell order was filled at, say, 74. And you know what? So be it. That happens. And sometimes you're going to hit the top end of this, or I do playing my game. I showed you the example with Verge, how I like to place orders. And then sometimes this high might have, well, it did come in at, say, 841,236. I could have 841,499, and I'd be like, oh, or 299 even. So it's going to happen within that style of game, but a lot of opportunities. And these moves I talked about, this is just what's been going on for the last 4 days, having the volatility to this stake. in which that it does. Let's move on next to core. And within this one, I did a spreadsheet yesterday and a photo. I think I saved it. So if I did, I don't know why I wouldn't. But I just did a graph on how my ROI is within this code. And within such, you have these wild moves. This is a daily time frame back before February, going from 27 up to 90. Pulling back to 40, rising back up to 64. Falling to 27, and then even along the way, these intraday moves, very, very profitable. What I'll first show is my last 10 trades amongst Corecoin. And on March the 31st, I sold at 31,000, and then less than an hour later, I bought it back at 29. The next day, in the PM, I sold at 31.2. And then 6 days go by without a trade, where I end up selling some more at 32, or 33 rather, buy it back at 30, sell at 34, sell at 37 on the 8th. Things have been picking up recently. Buying at 34.2, selling it close to 40,000 yesterday, and then buying it back for about 37. So that's pretty much where it is now, 37.8, so barely higher from that point. But this is a spot where this sell order, I had 40. This thing went up to 44. Well, I didn't get the top of it. Nice little uptrend overall, but yeah, let's now go to the next chart within core that I wanted to show. And I made this up yesterday. So this is my overall stats. I have profited about 0.03 Bitcoin overall and participating within this code. I have bought a little over 439.5 of them, paying 0.185 and a bit more Bitcoin with commission for an average buy cost in at 422,437,000 Satoshi. I have sold 385.5, a little more, which means that I'm holding about 54 of them. I have sold them for a little over 0.195 Bitcoin, which means I have about 0.01 extra in sales from Bitcoin, and they're worth about 0.02 from what I'm holding. My average sale is about 50,600 Satoshi. When you look at some of these moves, now why would it go way up and way down so fast? Again, this is how much I've profited on it. This trade in here would have been some sort of, obviously, a sell order, and the price would have went decently down, and I would have bought it back in here. Now, why there was a small gap here, and I really can't remember how I was trading it, when I would go short-term play, long-term. When I started playing out, I don't know why this line does that a few times, but when I first started playing this out, one, I played with lower stakes because I didn't have as much of a bankroll as I do today. And then I played really long term. Oh, let's buy something at 2,000 and look to sell it at 3,000, or 50% gain, 80% gain. I like playing for those big gains, but mainly out of boredom, I'm looking for smaller intermediate gains today. And that's why I'm looking at just moves like this, just a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Let's move on next to library credits. This is the last trade that I consciously am aware of. I made this about 10 to 15 minutes before the start of the video, and I haven't checked since about 5 minutes before making this video what my last trade is, if I've made one even since. Okay, so we look at this on a daily time frame. As far as overall technical analysis, look at this ride higher from when it leaves this 18 average back before. So you have a major downtrend in September. It goes down to the early stages of November. Then it rallies. This is going back again in here. It rallies to the sideways consolidation, one floor higher. and it established some resistance, multiple different areas, but it never obviously even broke through the first little part. But then when it got going after this last move, it left the 18 average on December the 18th. It broke out of a resistance of 2,600. It closed the day at 2,900. And from that moment on, the 18 was always successful support to the top. 18 average of closes was about the deepest that I got, and the 18 average of highs was tremendous support. But after having moves in the 2,000-3,000 range, this thing was trading close to 9,000. And then, of course, it got below the 18, where it was resisting the 18 average of lows numerously, over and over and over. You're seeing price action 8,000 down to 3,000. You have this rally attempt. First off, on February the 23rd, the price action gets into the 18 average, but for 5 days it held and stayed within it, and then it followed through on March the 1st with a gain and a follow-through gain the next day, and then about 5 or 6 days going sideways. But we can see on the date of March the 9th, and even with warning signs on March the 8th, that it was showing the failed breakout. Congratulations, those two people who were able to sell a bit here, buy back. And of course, you never need to know if it's going to go up or down next within the strategy that I talk about. If it goes up a bit, you sell. If it goes down a bit, you buy. And then, of course, looking for profit along the way. So now, after one leg lower, on April the 3rd, the price action had a green candle, and it just went sideways for several days. And then today's session after yesterday had a good job and just staying within the 18 average of highs, looking like it might break out and create at least one leg higher, but mainly try to revert the trend, because as I shown before in December, how fast that market moved up. And the rally of last year, this was a spot where when it finally broke its downtrend, the last one in March, that the 18 average was tremendous support, had a little bit of a glimpse in here within its move back then. I'm just going to quickly check to see if I made a trade within the time that I'm going through, and if I did, I'll show you what it is. If not, it'll be a random code. And I have made one. I sold THC at 784. Okay, where do we stand now? 782. Let's take a look at this on a 15-minute time frame. Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. So we got the sale in here. Now I'll be looking to buy next at about 718 to 720. That's a difference of about 8%. Oh, it's okay. Let's take a look at this on an hourly time frame. You know, 700 low might work out better around 701, because now we're talking about over a 10% move, and that's generally the least where I want to go. So as far as where my next sell target is, 978 is already big, but that's not my next one. I'm going to be looking to probably get within this range here, somewhere at about 865, 864. I'm going to look to sell next against as my next sell order. Now, generally speaking, with most codes, if I were to see something like normal, like 780 is the last trade, which it pretty much is, then I would look to buy back again a little over 700. There's a buy order. Sell order, okay, maybe somewhere here around 800 and change. Most other codes, I'm going to do 3 orders. I'm going to probably do something around 1200 or 1300 and have a decent sale. But there's 4 particular codes I do it a little bit differently, this being one of them. The other ones, they were the 4 in the 4-minute morning, the THC variety of the pot coins. This one, I'm going to put a sell order in for about 3,000 as another one, because I've seen these things have the wild moves where they go up like 5, 6, 7, 8x like it's nothing. So I basically got like I put like 80% of my tokens for sale at an insane level. But every time a trade happens, let's remove all my other old orders and put 3 new ones in. That's basically how I'm playing this game. Let's move on next to NXT. And again, these wild moves. November, let's go from 600 to 14,000. How about a 20x gain, everybody? Okay. 14,000, it's down to 1850. But it's up to 1850 from these lows of about 1,500. I've sold some of this recently today because of its up move. But is this ready for reversal of trend? Follow the money. Follow the 18 average. From the decline, look at the monstrous move. Going up and down like red candle down, straight, straight, straight. Never having any rally. From the point it got to like 3,000. And it rallied up from 3,000 to 5,500. Not quite a double, but pretty darn near close. And it did it all below the 18 average of lows. And then price action remained hugging, staying below the 18 average of lows on the middle parts of January, but came down to a key Fibonacci point, rallying from 2250 up to about 3600, falling back. But one of the key things I notice about key Fibonacci points, and I'm saying it playing it blindly where it's both bullish or bearishly, and you can see here that this was a bearish case where it went higher because price action went significantly lower thereafter. But when you go back to this level, oftentimes you're going to see situations where you might stay there for a while and rally to less degrees of gains. In this case, it only went up to about 2,900 before it fell. So the attempt to get past the 18 in here, not working out. But we've had a situation now where the band started to go flat, really around the 24th, 25th of March. So for over 2 weeks with a flat 18 average. And we can even see that starting around April 4th, April 5th at the 18 average of lows starting to rise. Price action hasn't been anywhere near it since it left it on April the 2nd. Is this some sort of April Fool's joke that this thing's going to get going and revert over? Maybe. I realized that there was a lot of resistance at around 1730, 17 low to 1770. So any retracements, I really want to see that area hold big time. I also get a key number in at 2255. That would be an area where I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to go further. It would make it there relatively quickly and probably entangle some sort of resistance. But I mean, look at all the different levels of resistance it would have entangled on the way up back during any of these runs. Because even back last March, this thing had a move going from like, well, 450 up to 9,000. So it's had two 20x gains in the last year and change. How you doing, basically? Okay, how much do we got for time? Yeah, let's conclude this. I'm going to take a quick look at a few charts and just finish it off with a couple. Talked about Ardor recently. This is the one that had a move breaking past this flat 18 average. It has now spent 5 consecutive days within the 18, pretty much around the 18 average of closes. So it's in the correctionary phase. 18 average of band is steadily flat at 37.42-ish. So anything getting well above 38, don't be surprised if this thing has amazing, nice moves higher. Support, right now the 18 average of lows is in at 33.33. And yeah, let's move on to another one. Okay, cash, let's make this the final one. And it's had the sideways movement. I talked before about this possibly having a fast move to 757. That's still by far in play, possibly. I don't know if it'll go there or not, but it was chopping up and down below two big levels at 56.50 and 26.50. And then we can see how it resisted it in the early parts of March and had a grindingly nice move lower from 26 down to about 15. The band is flattened out, and it has been so for a while. Had a nice resistance area move to the 18 average of highs on April 3rd and April 4th, coming back down to the 18 average of lows from April 5th through April the 7th, but has managed to have a nice break above a couple days ago, coming back, hugging yesterday at the 18 average of highs, doing so, looking to break out above it again as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the 2650 area would be a level of resistance. A nice fast move towards that level at this stage. But like I've pointed out before, the lower level in at about 757, totally in play. As this is a spot where if this little rally that it's doing, any type of non-going down movements stops and it breaks through below this support at around 1400-ish, I wouldn't be surprised if it makes a quick move down to 750. Thank you for tuning in to this very long 30-minute video. I don't make as many of them, and I like to do so every now and again. I'm really doing this for myself more than anything. Something enjoyable to do, and I know a lot of people do enjoy it, so that's probably good motivation for me to do it. But I have no extra major pressures like, oh, I got a commitment, like I got to do these videos, or I get paid a decent amount for doing them, because I actually don't. It's more of a fun thing to do. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you've learned something in this video, and have yourself a magnificent crypto day today. Bye-bye.